Yes. Hi. Not sure if it's everybody can hear me or not. This should suffice, I think. Let me see. Still trying to figure out how it works. I guess we do a Q&A. So we'll see. Yeah, feel free to write any questions you want to ask. I think I'll be able to see them popping up on my screen. Is it 5 yet? Yeah, it's 6. Yeah, so we should be live. Good evening. If you wanna, hold on, all right. Perfect. Yes, this is the place. Still have a lot of things popping up, sorry. And I'm using my cell phone to stream, so quality could be better, I guess. I have no Wi-Fi also, so this is a 4G live stream. I hope you can see me and hear me well. There's a massive storm outside, so yeah, still dark. It's around 6 a.m. here, and yeah, unfortunately I can't show you outside. That would have been a good thing. Okay. Yeah, I was lucky enough to actually see Bend. I visit Bend, I think it was last year, or even before that. But yeah, I've been in Bend, and it's beautiful there. You guys are definitely lucky if you're connecting from that location. It's a beautiful spot, and I'm sure it's very relaxed over there, as in lockdown. Here, I'm in Crete, so it's a kind of a average size island on the south of Greece, and here on the whole island we have I think it's 8 cases in total, and they're all confined. So people don't really, there's like a kind of a feeling that they don't really care what's going on because it's an island. They usually don't care what the rest of the country do anyway, because they feel like they're their own country in a way. But yes. Hey Ryan, how you doing? Yeah, so it's pretty relaxed here. This is like a little fisherman slash tourist small town in the north part of the island, northeast part of the island. So it's quite relaxed, and it's a good location to spend lockdown. Yeah, last time I was in Bend, I met with Ryan, and it was very helpful, actually. I had a small leak in my front fork, my motorcycle, so he helped me fix it up. Pretty awesome guy. Thanks, Ryan. I wonder if Harold is here as well. I'm sure he is. Okay. I have a little 3 dots on the right-hand side. It is tomorrow. Yes, it is 6 a.m. here. It seems that I can't type. Let me see if I can show all message, top chat, live chat. Here you go. Yeah. Okay, so they stay on top now. So it's pretty much only chat, and I have to get close to the screen because I can't see it from far, so sorry if I just pop my head in all the time, but yeah, it's a small screen. It's my cell phone, so yeah, just feel free to pop the questions, to write questions on the screen, and I'll just read an answer. It's still quite dark outside, I was just saying, so can't show you outside, but if you go through my posts on Instagram, you should be able to see where I'm staying at the moment. It's a nice place. I was pretty lucky to find this spot. So the curfew in Europe is pretty strict. How long my 11 night in the last? It's immortal. It keeps going, mate. I have no idea how. It's the most reliable bike I ever had. It has more than 110,000 miles on it now. So it's pretty reliable, and the engine is still the original engine and still going. No mechanical issues. I can speak with confidence now that even if it fails tomorrow, I'll be super happy of my purchase. It's been a pretty reliable motorcycle for what I used to. Yeah. Aside from this, I'll explain why I'm here. Maybe that's something that people might want to know. Why I'm in Crete. Well, I'm originally from Italy, so it's not the best country at the moment in terms of the virus or the pandemic. So I was in Italy up to the first week of February, actually second week of February. So I left on the 15th of February, and the pandemic in Italy started on the 22nd or something, the 21st. So like 10 days after, a week after I left, the mess started in Italy, and I didn't know about it. My family contacted me and informed me of the current situation and the increasing number of people getting sick. So I was in already like deep in Croatia. So I was on my way to Russia, and the virus thing started, and there were no cases in Croatia. So I was okay with it. I mean, I thought I left the thing behind, and then I moved south. Oh, hey, Harold. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Good to know. It's all right. Yeah. I gotta keep happy, anyway. In any with any mean necessary. Ooh. So one of the places I've been that kind of I mean, I live in Australia, and I love Australia. Like, there's no, for me, it's still the best country nature-wise I've seen. But a country that really surprised me and struck me for its beauty and its people and its food and everything else, it's Ecuador. Yes. So to answer that question is Ecuador. Ecuador is the underdog of all countries, or at least for South America. Nobody really knows much about Ecuador, and it's a fantastic country. I think at the moment Moto Gypsy is there. She's stuck there during her quarantine there. So if you're interested, you can ask her. She's on Instagram, and she's a pretty cool lady. Yeah, Ecuador is amazing. There's so many places that they are fantastic. It's a small country compared to all the others in South America, but it's just so rich. There's everything you can possibly desire while visiting a country. I've been in lockdown for three and a half weeks now, so it's been okay. I've been pretty lucky to spend my lockdown here. I have to say, it's. I'll continue explaining maybe the situation. So I left Italy on the 15th, and I went to Croatia, Albania, Montenegro, sorry, Albania, and then the situation with the virus started to get really hectic. They started to close borders and stuff, and check for temperature at the border. So I didn't want to get stuck in a country that wasn't in the EU, because being Italian, in case of emergency or like a political crisis, if you are in the EU, it's much better for repatriation and subsidies and help from the government. So, and Albania, it's kind of a weird country in a way of, and the way it's managed. They love Italy. I was treated very well over there, but in terms of like management, it's a tough one. They had a very tough history. So in that sense, I prefer to switch to Greece, which is I mean, it's still kind of challenging in terms of like in their economics, but it's part of the EU. They have the euros, and so on. So I started looking for places I could volunteer. So there are a few websites that allow you to have experiences in this sense, generally, not during the virus, but in general. Few of these are like a Workaway or Woofing or Alpex. So basically, people that have farms or retreats or some sort of like eco-friendly places in the mountains or at the sea or in kind of remote areas. They get volunteers from all over the world to help them sustain their facilities and help with like daily chores and stuff like this in exchange of accommodation and food. I had a few friends doing it, so basically I found this place, and the very last day I met with the owner, and I basically managed to get here on the day of the lockdown. So it was pretty last minute, pretty like kind of a stressful situation in a way, because all the accommodation facilities were closing and not accepting any, especially tourists. They were very skeptical in accepting tourists at the moment. So, okay, so yes, I am stuck here and I can't ride anywhere. You need a permit that you get via SMS by the government to get out and do grocery, go for a run. They ban swimming, but this is a small town, so you can pretty much go swimming in the water. It's too cold anyway for locals to swim. Answering the piece of equipment that I can't ride without, there's nothing, I mean, there's really nothing you can ride without. You can ride anywhere, anyway, with pretty much nothing, except the motorcycle. That's probably the only one you need, but I wouldn't know. Probably you can manage with any other. I mean, finding solution, alternative solution. Okay. Yeah. Well, how you go connecting? Yeah, motorcycle is probably the most important piece of gear that I need to ride a motorcycle around the world. Anyway, so back in 2015, I was in Australia, and I wanted to go around Australia. And my motorcycle came in with a hard panniers. And I used to have hard panniers, and I came off the bike, maybe I slid once on wet surfaces, like it was raining, and I just kind of slid with my bike, and my pannier cracked right away. So they just snapped from his lodgements, and I had to replace the panniers and stuff. So I was recommended to go soft panniers, and I looked at Giant Loop, and they were pretty solid products. And yeah, so there's a shop in Australia, it's called Adventure Moto, and I went to the shop and got myself some bags, and I've been super happy with the products so far. And I had the chance to ride with the Siskiyou and the Around the World panniers, and they were both amazing in different ways. Siskiyou, they were reckless, so I just put it on top of my bike, and they were just pretty much almost built for it, I believe. And the Around the World panniers are probably a little more convenient for extremely long trips because there's so much room, and you can always pack extra stuff on top of it. For instance, one of the problems I face sometimes is just I can't, How should I do this? Oh, yeah, that's another thing. So as I was saying, so if I go grocery shopping or go buy food and I have my full setup, and there's no extra room where to put the food. So with the round work pattern, I can always find a spot to put my stuff. Or if I go buy spare parts or something, I can always shove it in there. So it's amazing, the capability of those bags, and they're unbelievable, shockproof, waterproof. Never really had a problem with those. And let's see the chat again. Yeah. So at the beginning, I had so much stuff because I was thinking, like, what do I need to carry for a around the world trip, or just to think of all the possible scenarios that can happen in a trip like this. So your head starts wandering, it goes everywhere, and you end up carrying a lot of stuff you don't need. So I probably trimmed. I probably trimmed my luggage and the stuff that I carried maybe 3-4 times. But the thing is that every time you stop and you go through your things, there's always something you never used you want to get rid of. So even at the end of my the last 4 or 5 years I've been traveling, and I reached Italy, I was carrying so much stuff that I didn't need. Probably half of my pannier, half of one of my pannier was full of stuff that I was just carrying because I hoarded it. I just started collecting stuff. It's normal to pile things up, but there's very little you need on a trip. Even spare parts. I carry spare parts I never used. What if your bike never breaks down? What if you never need those tools anyway? But you carry because you think you need it, but how do you know? There's always a 50-50 chance that you don't need tools or spare parts. So yeah, it's useful to have tools or spares or things, but you always have to carry those things. So yeah, it's better not to go to carry too much stuff, I guess. Better to go light. Any more questions? Or maybe forgot what I was saying. But yeah, so the 1190, the bike. Oh yeah, one of the questions is like what kind of bike I ride. Is a KTM 1190 Adventure, 2013 model. So it's one of the first models that came out. The bike as an optional is called fuel dongle. It's like $100 piece of equipment that connects to the electronics of the bike, and it tells you can set the bike to run. You can tell the bike to run that you're running on 80 octane fuel, so which is okay. 2 more questions. So this bad fuel dongle, you can tell the bike that you're running on bad fuel, and there's a lot of bad fuel around, like Brazil and Bolivia, which probably Ryan was referring to. Fuel in Bolivia is a very weird thing to get. Locals won't sell you fuel if you have a foreign plate. So you kind of have to adjust to that. So I was carrying like always a fuel tank, like a proper, like 10-liter, so like 4 gallon, something like this, 3 gallon, 4 gallon, like tank of fuel, and using it twice. So go to the gas station, fill up my bike, then go back to the gas station, just walking, fill it up again, and then fill up my bike. So The problem is that they don't give you full fuel if you go there with a bike. So you just have to walk to the gas station and fuel up like this. So I had my gas bag, but it's an emergency bag, so it's a gallon, and I had to fill up the tank. So I had to buy one of those disposable plastic tank to fill up the bag, to fill up the bike all the time. So it's a very interesting situation, but yeah, I guess there's not many countries like Bolivia in that sense. Suspensions, yes, I had to rebuild my rear suspension twice, and now needs a rebuild again. So it's been, I mean, the bike usually runs fully loaded all the time, and I'm roughly 180 pounds, so not light. So fully loaded and me on top all the time, off-road or long ride. It's painful for the rear shock, but it has been reliable so far. It's a WP, it's an electronic shock too, so it's not really maybe designed for what I do, but it's been holding on pretty well. But I had to rebuild it twice, and not everybody wants to rebuild an electronic shock. So if you have the R version, it's probably a little better. Let's see the other question. Do I ever bother to cook? To cook, if I'm in hostels, yes, because I have cooking facility. I have pots, pans, and I can go buy groceries and bring it back to the hostel and cook. But otherwise, if I'm camping, I just go very simple. I wouldn't call that cooking. It's just heating up stuff and putting it in my mouth. So it's not really, or boiling veggies, or it's rice. So it's not really cooking. I don't really have many cooking tools. I have my propane gas stove, my little coffee machine. But in hostels, you can find pretty much all cooking utensils and pots and pans, and there's a kitchen, usually a shared kitchen, which usually is quite big, or it's roomy to prepare things. So and sometimes, especially in South or Latin America, where food is more affordable, it's better to eat out. There were many places where the local cuisine was delicious, and it's actually not so convenient to buy your own food and cook it. So many countries, I was able to afford a full meal, like 2 courses, like a soup and a main dish with rice and some meat and veggies and a juice for like $1.50. So I miss those times for sure, that you can go to a market and buy a meal for $1. It's a delicious meal too. It's a freshly made meal. So it's pretty much the locals in a lot of countries, they eat like this. And yeah, it's sometimes I never really cooked for a long time. So I spent like 1.5 years in South America and almost 2 years in Latin America in total, and didn't really cook much, except like maybe special occasions. But so I chose my KTM 1190 because it was my dream bike. So I come from Italy. So I used to ride motorcycles since I was a kid. The bike, my 1190, has 160 So in miles, it's roughly 110,000 miles. Still original. Yes, her name is Bronte. Bronte because it's the name of the little town I live in Australia. So I just gave the same name to my bike because somehow it reminded me of home, and in many ways, it's in Australia it's the name of it's a woman's name. So it's my bike is a woman, and I was a female, as you can say. And then Bronte is also a name. So the name Bronte is also a town in Sicily famous for its pistachios. So it kind of reminded me of Italy as well. And it reminded me of the little town I lived in Australia, near Sydney. And Bronte in I think Greek means the sound of thunder, which it sounds sometimes like a thunder. So it's very, I mean, it used to be noisy with the previous muffler that I had. So it's kind of a good name for me. I don't know. It worked out pretty well so far. So yeah, I was saying like I used to ride motorcycle, like street bikes mostly. I had a lot of street bikes like Kawasaki, Honda, pretty much a lot of street bikes. Yes. So I used to ride mostly commuting to work. Not really had any experience in long distance traveling. Mostly commuting, short trips with friends. Like never had a camping experience. Never really camped in my life. And I started with my trip around Australia. So that was my first time camping as well. When I planned my first trip, I just wanted to go around Australia. So I had an Aprilia Pegaso 660 before, and mostly using for commuting. And I wanted to get a reliable bike because Italian bikes are not so reliable. And my Pegaso broke down 3 times in a year. So I figured that wasn't the best bike to go around Australia. So at the time it was the 1190 just came out, and I went to test ride it, and it took me pretty much 3 years to fell in love with that bike. So if you ever try the 1190 in sport mode and open the throttle, you know why you can probably understand why I fancy that bike. It's a very powerful bike, and coming from street bikes, I just pretty much fell in love with the maneuverability and the power of the famous, notoriously powerful engine, the LC8. So for that question, in terms of if I meet people on the road and I meet them again, yes, I do. I've been bumping on the same people a few times, and I also met people I follow online. So there's a bunch of people doing the same thing I'm doing, and we follow each other on Instagram, and sometimes we're just Instagram friends, but we never meet. And then sometimes we meet on the road, and that's a pretty cool thing. So you kind of like you're a friend, but you never met, and then all of a sudden you meet, and sometimes your expectations are crushed, but sometimes they live up to your expectations. One of the guys that I still works. One of the guys that I met on the road that I hang out a few times and I bumped in on the road many times is Guido Bro Sin Frenos. He's a deaf guy from Chile riding his Africa Twin around the world. And And I rode Central America with him, and I rode part of Europe, and then he stayed in my house in Milan. And at the moment, his motorcycle is parked in my house in Milan, so he's back in Chile, spending his quarantine there. So let's go through the question again. Sorry, I have to read them. In Australia, I would recommend you go at least for 3 months. But I know it's a kind of a hard one, but Australia is huge, and everything, like the things to see in Australia are very far apart. So it takes a long time to go from one place to the other. And I would recommend you to do, if you have to, like 1 month, you can just go to the West Coast. Forget about the East Coast. It's very urbanized. Just go to the west, straight to the West Coast, and do all West Coast. You'll love it. With the starter. Oh, okay. Mike Haberot. I hope I said it correctly. I follow you. Mike. You have amazing footage and amazing pictures on your Instagram. I haven't had personally any problem with the starter. I had problem with the starter in cold temperatures, and that's a common issue for 1190s. I believe in the newer models, they replaced the starter of the 1190 with a 1290 Super Duke, which is bigger. So the problem with the starter for my bike is that it's too small. So it doesn't have enough power to start in, like, the compressor is too high. So sometimes it's not enough to start a bike. So personally, if it's not cold, the bike starts all the time. For instance, now I have a very low battery, it's almost running out of juice. So, and it still starts because it's warm here. So don't really have many problems with that, I guess. Yes, there were times I wish I was on a small bike, especially when I was riding in sand. Like our bikes in sand and fully loaded, like my 1190 is so heavy. So when it's fully loaded, it reaches 300 kilos, which is it's a lot of weight. I don't know in pounds, but it's a lot. It's heavy. And in sand, it's just not fun when you're fully loaded. Not loaded, it's okay, you can manage. Still, you need to have a proper tires. But if you have a lighter bike, definitely you can manage better. Yeah. Yeah, minus 31, yeah. Look, the starter thing, if you run every day, the bike will start. That's what I figure out. For some reason, the engine, I don't know, has a cooling period. The battery is probably a key factor. Is the battery? If the battery is fully charged and new, won't have any problems starting the bike. I never changed my battery. So my battery is still the original one. It's unbelievable. I know people that change battery every year. But I because the amount of riding I've been doing, it's still the original battery. So it's quite impressive in that sense that it's still starting now with the original battery. So that's pretty good. And I didn't really have any problems with the starter. No, I still the original one. And I think I heard that if you contact KTM, they probably replace it under warranty if it's under warranty. I mean, if the bike is still under warranty, but yeah. Aside from that, just keep the battery charged and I think the bike will start. Cold temperature is kind of a tricky one. I have a video on YouTube, my channel that shows. I was in Ushuaia in South America. Is the southest point in South America, and I came the day before from a very super muddy ride in Argentina, and I left the bike outside, and I think it went below 10, -10, so like around 20 Fahrenheit. And I tried to start a bike in the morning and it wouldn't start. So I kind of improvised and threw hot water at the engine of the bike. And it worked. The bike started. Battery was fully charged and the bike wouldn't start. So I guess that was one of the only time that the bike wouldn't start in the morning. And a couple of buckets of boiling hot water against the engine. It kind of tricked the sensors or warmed up the engine, created compression inside. God knows what happened that time, but the bike started like no problem at all. So it's a weird one. Electronics, you can't really pull the choke or anything. It's you gotta improvise. Look, sorry, I missed the questions. I'll finish with Mike. I love this SKU, like, because it's reckless, and the bike is very slim. So if you're going through towns or things like this, with the SKU, the bike is still very slim, and it doesn't feel like you're carrying, like you don't have like those bulky side panniers. And they were big enough for me, 75 liters. You can still carry a pillion. The SKU, for me, for me it was great choice. But I have to say that I'm using all the 90 liters of the around the world panniers, so I'm not sure anymore. About the tires, which tire that I used? What was the question again? What tire do I use? Oh, I use a multitude of tires. I also have a video of tire comparison on my website, on my YouTube channel. So I use probably like 7, 8 brands. I don't remember, but mostly like 50-50 tires or 70-30. At the moment, I'm running Michelin Anarchy Adventure, which I don't like at all. Not a big fan. I fit them on in France, and they were cheap in France. But if you buy them in other countries, not so cheap. So I wanted to try them, and not super happy. Yes. I had other tires which I liked more, like the Shinko. Big fan of the Shinko. It's a very affordable tire, sorry. And performance-wise, it was fantastic for me. The Karoo 3 got me out from very bad situations, and especially sandy situation. So I like the Karoo 3, the Metzler Karoo 3. But they're quite expensive, they don't last very long, but they were very helpful. Otherwise, the Shinko 705, that's what I like the most. Didn't have many flats. I had probably like 3 flats. Twice in Australia and once in South America. But my bike runs tubeless, so it's quite easy to fix it flat on a tubeless tire. It's very, very easy. Once I had a flat on my front tire, and this rock that got me a flat kind of slit my tire completely. Just there was a cut that was this big, like maybe an inch wide. So I had to put like 2 plugs or 3 plugs in it just to patch it in, and then I managed to ride 1,000 miles with that. But I had to replace the tire after that. So I carry, in terms of electronic equipment and photographic equipment, I carry a drone and a cell phone. I changed my photographic equipment from the Australian trip to South American trip. So in Australia, I just had my camera, so DSLR camera. Drones weren't out yet. There were a few drones, but very poor choice of drones. And then I went to South America. I left my DSLR camera at home, and I took a drone, and I carry a drone in South America and my cell phone. That's it. And then I came home now, and now there's like these small consumer drones. They're very tiny, and I have my DSLR and my drone. So I'm carrying both now, and my cell phone, obviously. I've been on the road for, let's see. Okay, I had a Phantom 4, so it's a massive drone. It's a DJI Phantom 4, but in 2015, that was the only drone that had the follow me feature. So I had to buy that one, and I had to buy a backpack to carry that drone. That was pretty big commitment in terms of like space management for a bike. So it was I had no choice. And now I have a Mavic Air, which is good but not that good. Very poor range, so you lose signal all the time if you're trying to fly far away. So it's, in that sense, you need to get a antenna extender, or you can make your own. There's some videos on YouTube. You can make a range extender for your Mavic Air. Otherwise, just get a Mavic Pro. You can find like a Mavic Pro 1, not the second generation one, for cheaper now. Let's see what else the questions were. How many years I've been on the road? This is my 5th year. I get home maybe once every year and a half. Oh, hey, how are you? Hippo Hands Online. Good morning. Thank you. You see, it's starting to clear up a bit. There's a massive storm outside as well, so no chance for me to go outside. There's 45 miles wind, so there's probably some pretty big, spectacular waves outside, but can't show it to you guys, sorry. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, in terms of like drones, the weight of my luggage, it varies, but it's around maybe 50 kilos, 50 or 60, yeah, 50 kilos, yes, I would say, which is 140 pounds, maybe. I have no idea, sorry. I forgot the conversion rate. Okay. Harold, what's the next chapter of my journey? So I was supposed to go till the end of Russia. So from Italy right to the end of Russia. There's a town called Vladivostok. It's basically in front of Japan. If you want to know where it is exactly, it's on the map. You can look it up. But it's pretty much like Japan, and then from there go to Australia. My Russian visa is on my Italian passport, and with my Italian passport at the moment, I can't go anywhere. They rather put me in jail or in quarantine. So yeah, so the virus situation is pretty tight at the moment, especially borders. It's not a good time for travelers. Any border at the moment, it's pretty much there's high restrictions. You'd be put in quarantine in any country you go, except even your own. So if from here I have to go back to Italy or Australia, I'll be put in quarantine for 2 weeks in some sort of facility that they put me. So it's my plan was to go back to Australia from Italy by bike, and yeah, I have to rethink about the plan now. So I'm stuck in Greece at the moment, so looks like lockdown here is till the 6th of May, and then they'll start opening a few shops and things like this, but the restrictions and social distancing will still be in place for at least all May. For what I heard, for what the news here, predictions, they said it's gonna be like this at least until mid-June, end of June, beginning of July. So first thing I'm gonna do is to take a ferry home. I'll take a ferry to Italy and right back to Milan, and just visit my family, just to see how they are after this lockdown, and evaluate the situation once I get there. No planning. You have to, you have to play as you go. In this kind of situations, there's not much you can do. Yeah. Much consideration coming over to North America. I've been to North America many times. Matter of fact, I lived in North America. I lived in California for 3 years, back in 2005. It's a long time ago. Thank you very much. My family is doing well. They are pretty lucky. They have pretty much an apartment each. So I have 4 family members. 3 of these are over 70 years old, so they're in the risk kind of zone in terms of age. But they're all good, and they are not in each other's space. So I was saying they have kind of an apartment each, and my sister she's home and smart working. I think they call it like this now. It's trendy, trendy way of saying that you're working from home. But yeah, as I was replying to where in California, I lived in LA for 3 years. I know it's not the best place in California to live, but I was 25, and it's a good place when you're 25. It's it's kind of interesting socially. It's a very interesting social experience. Yes. SoCal is better in terms of weather. In terms of weather, it's way better, yes. I've been in San Diego a few times as well. I have friends there, so I was used to go there for weekends many times. San Diego and the South Coast, pretty amazing spots, I have to say. I have very fond memories. Yeah, well, there's so many places in California. Is just yeah, it's a good state. Yes, many options. Yeah, I know. I've also been in San Francisco quite a few times, and all the Napa area is, yeah, yeah. I've traveled California extensively. Obviously, there's so much more to see, but I was there uh, many times. You're very welcome. It's not. It's good for a change, you know. It's not that I have much to do anyway. But yeah, I'm glad to talk to you guys, and thanks for the questions. I think it's close to an hour, but if you have more questions, still pretty windy outside. I wouldn't dare to go outside. To get another bike. So I was evaluating the option of getting a 790R, which is the natural tendency nowadays to just go to the 800, 900 cc range displacement bike. But I don't know. I'm like I'm 6'3", and felt pretty tiny, that bike, compared to my 1190. It's very the ergonomics are quite good, because the tank is at the bottom, so it's kind of a slim feel, like the enduro bikes. They have a very slim feel in the front. The tank is underneath, and but yeah, but still felt like quite small for me. No, nobody asked me about my finances yet. How weird. Usually it's the first question that people ask me. It's like, how do you manage, how do you afford to travel so long? But yeah, I've just finished the question. Yeah, I was considering to go to the 790R, and no, I kept the investment to get my 790R was too high, and yeah, no. Yeah, if you're 6'3", the 1190R is probably the best bike. It's a beast. Like so, you still have to manage a beast, but in terms of height and comfort of riding, I don't think it's comparable to any other bike. I still love mine. Look, I don't mind the change, but it just can I say, the position and the feel, in a way. Like if you get an 1190, is because you like that engine, so it's very hard to compromise after getting an 1190. You're right. It's so much power. You never really need all that power, but it depends what kind of riding you do. But in my trip, I was very happy that I had this kind of bike. But yeah, maybe we get a smaller solution. My back will definitely thank me for that if I have to pick it up. But for riding, I think mine is still probably the best solution. But God knows what the future holds. There's so many bikes out there. There's the new Aprilia Touareg just came out, 660. Best experience while traveling. Whew. Can't really answer that, mate. It's like probably like in Australia, it's so many amazing moments. I just hard to recall them all, but like just when you camp in a remote place and there's so much beauty around you and silence is overwhelming, and that's probably one of the most and purest form of traveling, I think there is. You know, you're just by yourself, and it's you feel that you're exposed, but at the same time you feel more. You know, it's if you're in a locked environment, you might enjoy the moment, but you're not out there. You know, it's always under control. It is when you have no control that you actually feel more alive. Anyway, hopefully I answered your question, but what was the other question? Yes, I have a video of my drone stuff, like 4 years of droning on my channel. How do I finance this? Most asked questions of all time. So very easy to answer these questions in terms of like making people understanding how I did this during quarantine. So you're probably in quarantine or lockdown, whatever you want to call it. But, so you can't go anywhere, and you mostly, I don't know, go outside and throw the trash, and then come back home and go shopping, grocery shopping, and then come back. That's what I did for 5 years in Australia. So I was going to work, come back, eat, sleep, repeat. That's what I did. Didn't spend any money for 5 years. Just worked 12 hours a day, and did it for 5 years. No girlfriend, no kids, no mortgage. Fortunately, I don't have any credit cards. I know it's a different concept to understand for you guys, because you base your life on credits, so you need those credit cards and you need those points. But for me, I had no properties, I had no need to get a credit card, so I just had to feed myself food-wise, and so after 5 years of that, of quarantine, questions. Okay, after 5 years of self-isolation and quarantine, I found myself with a bunch of savings, and I say, okay, I don't need to spend my life working, and I want to do something more. And I quit my job and bought a motorcycle and sold everything or gave everything away, and I started traveling. I went around Australia, and then I came back. I felt like I was missing out on so much stuff because of my daily life, you know, like the going to work, commuting thing. So I decided to continue traveling, and 5 years later, here I am. So I'm living out of my savings. So, and I'm running out of money. But luckily, I'm not paying for rent here, so that's pretty good, because I'm fixed in the place. That's part of the agreement with the volunteering. So I'm helping cleaning the places up and fixing little things, and I can stay for free. So that's pretty good. It's something, there's always a way to not spend too much money while traveling. American girls or Italian girls? Wow, what a question, mate. What a question. What about French girls? Maybe. It depends. There's beautiful girls everywhere. Not particularly fond of Italian girls, I have to say. Maybe because it's my own culture and kind of it feels like I know kind of the way of the cultural behavior. So if it's not very appealing to me anymore. So I'm more, obviously you're always more attracted to exotic traits. I mean, at least for me, but it's more like when things is different, I'm more fascinated. So Italian girls for me are not it's like, wow, surprise. But doesn't matter for me where the girls are from. I don't know what kind of question. It's very subjective, and it depends of the cases. There could be great Italian girls and great American girls for sure. Yeah, Latin American girls. Ouch. That was a fun fact in that was a part of an interesting social experience was when I was in Chile, and so girls from Chile are not particularly curvy in the sense of like voluptuous, like a feminine shapes, It's like no kind of normal, physically normal, right? Like it's with normal standards. But because of the Venezuelan and Colombian economical crisis, a lot of these girls moved to richer countries, and Chile is probably the richest country in South America at the moment. So all these women, all these gorgeous women, like very voluptuous women, started to come to Chile, and obviously men went straight to the competitors, instead of their local women. So this created a lot of frictions in terms of like culturally between Colombians and Venezuelans and Chileans. It was interesting to see, this tendency of the switch of women started to focus more on their appearances and to become more like voluptuous because of all these women coming from these countries in the north, and it was incredible. It's a very unique experience, I guess. But there was the Colombians from the north, like girls from the Caribbean. They had more influences with African that the colonizer that came there. So there's more mixes. Also Arabic people in the Caribbean part of South America. So all Colombia and Venezuela had a lot of influence from this. It's like Brazil, pretty much, right? So there's a lot of mix. So all these cultural mixes created this incredible and never seen before kind of features in people, and there are beautiful people in a lot of places over there. They're incredible. That's why I think the last 3-4 Miss Universe are from Venezuela or something like this. I mean, that's what I heard anyway. I'm not entirely sure that is the truth, but there are beautiful women, beautiful guys, beautiful people in general over there. Okay, so sorry for the lightweight kind of section. Yeah. Answering to Brian. Yeah, the 900 Triumph seems to be more like more powerful in terms of engine. That's what I read. I'm not entirely sure, but in terms of ergonomics, the 1200 Tiger felt really, really comfortable. Not sure about the 800, but I remember we went for a ride. It was pretty good. If you have any other questions, I think crashes. I had one crash on road in San Francisco, just by myself. I just I just looked at the GPS a bit too long and I crashed against the wall. It's not very wise on me, but came out unscattered, and bike kind of as well. Some damages, but that was the worst in my opinion. I crashed like twice off-road, high speed in South America, both times in Argentina, and with bags and everything, and that was pretty savage. I was going like around like 60, 65 miles an hour, so it was pretty harsh impact, but bags held pretty well. And yeah, I came out unscattered too. It was pretty good. Aside from that, not many times, and then 1,000 times on sand. Harold is hiring. I also am web, yes. Yeah, pretty much. My crash bar on my bike is demolished, is bent, so it's not very straight. This one side is a bit closer to the tank. Yeah, it's consequence of a multitude of crashes. It's been it's normal, you know. Like I never met anybody that hasn't crashed, so I guess is sooner or later you have to, and I mean there's more considerate riding and riders, I'm sure. But on an 1190, sometimes you're like, now I've been closing the throttle, as being like a very, very mild and low speed riding for me in the past 2 years, because of the bike. I think felt a bit of the repercussions of me riding a bit hard. The first 2.5 years, I kind of rode, kind of asked a bit from my bike, and when it's fully loaded, everything becomes more. So when you hit a hole on the ground and you fully load it, it's a way worse hit on the bike than when you're just like solo riding with no panniers and no heavy weights. So I bent the front rim by maybe 3 times, and it's kind of a normal thing. But now I learned to close the throttle a little bit. You save fuel. It's a bit better in the long run. Like if you planning to reach, if you feel like you want to reach further destinations, you should better decelerate a bit. You reach, if you don't have a problem with time, like you have unlimited time, it's better to go slower. Yeah, I was saying I have 178,000 kilometers. 178,000 kilometers, so it's 110 miles or something. I have 108,000 miles. Yeah. Poor thing. I'm still shocked that it hasn't lost the wheel while I was riding or something. Italian math. Yeah. I have no idea how many miles. It's 178,000 kilometers. You do the math. Cheers. Any other questions? So windy outside. It's a strong wind, fortunately, a bit of rain. It's been beautiful though. Yesterday was, so Crete is right above Africa. So sometimes we have this hot wind coming from south. Is amazing. My pleasure. My pleasure. No problem. Yeah, so the position of Crete is just in the kind of south of the Mediterranean. So when we had the wind coming from north, it's super cold wind. Like it comes from Russia straight into the islands and hit the front part of the island. And then the hot wind from Sahara, from Africa comes up, and it's just so different. Let's see with the metric. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot my conversion. Oh, sorry. Conversion rating, mental conversion rate, Fahrenheit. You guys use imperial. Come on. There's 3 countries in the world using imperial. Thank you. Yes, looking forward to continue my adventures. Hopefully, predictions are not reassuring. They're not really best predictions that I read. People talk like 2022 or the end of this. So I tend not to read predictions. I know that it's gonna be lockdown is gonna be till end of May, I'm sure. Like the beginning of May is when the lockdown is supposed to end, and then it's gonna be social distancing and restrictions. But traveling is not good in this time. It's very interesting. It's bad to say, but I'm not used to being discriminated because I'm white and I'm coming from Italy. So it was very interesting to be discriminated for the first time, to just because where you come from, no other reasons. We're not entirely fond of this as being white males. I'm sure other ethnicities can relate, but just to be discriminated by default, it's quite harsh. But yeah, that's an interesting experience. So not so good to travel at the moment. Definitely heading back to Italy, which probably is the only country I wouldn't be discriminated. Maybe. Anything else? No problem at all. Very welcome. Sorry I couldn't show you outside, or like a nice sunrise. So you can see that tree is very inside. It's kind of sheltered, and that's how it's moving. So yeah. So I've seen the sheets on my motorcycle just flapping like this. So it's powerful wind. It's almost I think it's 45 miles wind. Pretty fast wind, and it's coming from the north, so it's cold wind. It's like, I mean, not that cold, but it is cold wind for Crete. Any more questions or? Thanks for the thumbs up. Till next time. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciated your support and your help, and your questions. Hope you stay safe. It's at 9:30 there. Yeah, probably 9:30. Still pretty early. But no problem. No problem. I guess we can end this right now. Hopefully, let me try to show you outside. Oh, hold on. Let me flip the camera. And you see? Look at that. Oh, wow. Let me see if I can show it to you. It's super windy. Yeah, it's that's my bike. Okay. We got some wind. much where I'm staying. Good waves today. Yeah. It's pretty exposed today. I think I lost the sheet. Oh no, it's here. All right. Okay, guys, I might have to say goodbye. Yeah, no surfing. No surfing today. Oh my. It's getting destroyed, these places. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty windy, guys. Not too cold though. It's all right. Okay. Have a good night. See ya.